Natural resources. Natural resources are materials from the earth that are used to support life and meet people's needs. Any natural substance that humans use can be considered as natural resource. Oil, coal, natural gas, metals, stone, and sand are natural resources. Other natural resources are air, sunlight, soil, and water. Animals, birds, fish, and plants are natural resources as well. Natural resources are used to make food, fuel, and raw materials for the production of goods. All of the food that people eat comes from animals and plants. Natural resources such as coal, natural gas, and oil provide heat, light, and power. Natural resources also are the raw materials for making products that we use every day, from our toothbrush and lunchbox to our clothes, cars, televisions, computers, and refrigerators. Currently, land resources are clearly under stress. 16% of arable land is degraded and the percentage is increasing. Traditional systems of land management are either breaking down or are no longer appropriate, and the management and technology needed to replace them is not always available. The primary reason for this situation is the increasing demands placed on land by the unprecedented rate of population growth and the effects it induces. Externalities related to global change are also becoming a constraint to sustainable land management. Renewable resources are those natural resources such as trees, water, sun, and wind that can be replenished at about the same rate at which they are used. Renewable resources, however, can be depleted if not properly managed or conserved. Non-renewable resources are those natural resources that are depleted more quickly than they can regenerate. Fossil fuels like oil and natural gas were formed over millions of years. Once mined or used completely, non-renewable resources are gone forever. Extracting, processing, and using natural resources can cause environmental problems, such as air, land, and water pollution, disruption or destruction of ecosystems, and a decrease in biodiversity. For example, carbon dioxide, which is produced from burning coal, oil, and natural gas, is critical greenhouse gas. Greenhouse gases absorb and retain heat from the sun. Examples of greenhouse gases include methane, ammonia, sulfur dioxide, and certain chlorinated hydrocarbons. Many scientists believe that the buildup of greenhouse gases in the atmosphere can cause global climate change in the average global temperature of the atmosphere near the Earth's surface. The surface of the Earth is shaped by combination of physical processes, including earthquakes and volcanoes, shifts of rocks and sediments, and flows of river and ice. Humans also shape the land through increasing populations, agricultural expansion, mineral and forest resource excavation, changing the flow of rivers, and with the layers of industrial and urban infrastructures. Land cover is the physical and biological material found on the surface of land, existing as vegetation or the built environment. Land use describes the various ways in which human beings make use of and manage the land and its resources. Over the course of history, humans have a changeable relationship to the land. Early humans are believed to have used the land with little modification for shelter, food gathering, and defensive aims. It wasn't until domestication of plants and animals, approximately 10,000 years ago, that land use involved extensive changes in the landscape. With domestication came large-scale clearing for both settlement and agriculture. Growing population built structure on the land or out of the land for shelter, defense, and worship, and altered the existing land cover and the course of waterways for food, power, and transportation. Land use changes occur constantly and at many scales and can have specific and cumulative effects on air and water quality, watershed function, generation of waste, extent and quality of wildlife habitat, climate, and human health. Agricultural uses. Agricultural land uses can affect the quality of water and watersheds, including the type of crops planted, tillage practices, and the various irrigation practices can limit the amount of water available for the other uses. Livestock grazing in riparian zones can change landscape conditions by reducing stream banks, vegetation, and increasing water temperatures, sedimentation, and nutrients level. Runoff from pesticides, fertilizers, and nutrients from animal manure can also degrade water quality. Agricultural land use may also result in loss of native habitats or increase wind erosion and dust, exposing humans to particulate matter and various chemicals. Some land uses can accelerate or exacerbate the spread of invasive species. For example, certain agricultural land use practices such as overgrazing, land conservation, fertilization, and the use of agricultural chemicals can enhance the growth of invasive plants. These plants can alter fish and wildlife habitat, contribute to decrease in biodiversity, and create health risks to livestock and humans. Introduction of invasive species in agricultural lands can reduce water quality and water availability for native fish and wildlife species. Land development. Land development creates impervious surfaces through construction of roads, parking lots, and other structures. Impervious surfaces contribute to non-point sources, water pollution by limiting the capacity of soils to filter runoff, affect peak flow and water volume, which heightened erosion potential and affect habitat and water quality. Increase storm water runoff, which can deliver more pollutants to water bodies that residents may rely on for drinking and recreation. Storms runoff from urban and suburban areas contains dirt, oils from road surfaces, nutrients from fertilizers, and various toxic compounds. It also affects groundwater aquifer recharge. Point source discharges from industrial and municipal wastewater treatment facilities can contribute toxic compounds and heated water. Some land development patterns, in particular dispersed growth such as suburbanization, can contribute to a variety of environmental concerns. For example, increased air pollution due to vehicle use results in higher concentration certain air pollutants in developed areas that may exacerbate human health problems such as asthma. Land development can lead to the formation of heat islands, domes of warmer air over urban and suburban areas that are caused by the loss of trees and shrubs, and absorption of more heat by pavement, buildings, and other sources. Heat islands can affect local, regional, global climate as well as air quality. Most cities have developed near rivers and waterways, but most of the country's prime farmland is also located near rivers and waterways. From 1982 to 1992, we lost an average 400 acres every year of prime farmland with the best soils and climate. We need to create smart growth alternatives to sprawl, create towns where public transportation is possible. In creating alternatives, it is necessary to look at the whole range of areas, cities, farmlands, and wildlands.